Let's talk about Abigail. Hello, welcome to The Exhausted Researcher. My name is TJ and I'm your Exhausted Researcher. Today I'm going to do a short review on the horror movie Abigail that released in theaters on April 19th. Before I get into my review of the movie, I want to give you a short synopsis of what the movie is about. All of this can be gleaned from the trailer, so as long as you've seen the trailer, there will be no spoilers in this part of the video. Abigail is a movie about a ragtag team of 6 mercenaries being hired to kidnap a young ballerina in order to extort $50 million from her rich father. They take this young ballerina to a secluded mansion to hold her for 24 hours until the money is delivered to them. But when they get there, they see that this is not what it seems. This young ballerina is no normal, ordinary ballerina. She is a Nosferatu-style vampire. They are now trapped in this building with this vampire, and the odds are not in their favor. The premise of this movie was very interesting to me. I saw the trailer for it when I went to the theaters for Imaginary. That's another movie I can talk about at another time. It wasn't really worth the visit to the theaters, but it was decent. The line in the trailer that really got me and made me want to watch the movie was along the lines of,
"I like playing with my food."
And it was at that point where I was like, I really want to see this movie and see how things pan out. However, the trailer that I saw in the theaters was either a different edition or not the complete trailer that you see on YouTube. There were parts of it that I didn't see, so there were parts of the movies that were a complete surprise to me. Moving forward, there are going to be spoilers. I'm going to give you a little more of an expanded synopsis of what happened in the movie, and then give my personal feelings on these events. As stated, the movie starts with Abigail being kidnapped. They literally body this girl and inject her with drugs in order to kidnap her. This team is then sent to this house. They are driven there by as Wikipedia describes him, sociopathic driver that in the movie is called Dean. Everyone in the movie is given fake names. They are told not to give their real names. You see this in the trailer as well. There are 6 of them. I am going to reference their names. I'm gonna be honest, I got bored. I forgot their names. So, the lead main character, I would say, opposite of Abigail, is a former army medic and recovering drug addict, Joey. You also have a former NYPD detective, Frank, a thrill-seeking hacker, Sammy, a former Marine sniper, Rickles, a dim-witted mob enforcer, Peter, and of course the sociopathic driver, Dean. These are the 6 people that are supposed to watch this girl for 24 hours in order to get their cut of $50 million. What really got me at the start of the movie was they didn't know who this child was. They didn't know who her father was. But this was because this was a turning point in the movie. When they find out who her father is, they suddenly want out. People that run up on the wrong side of this man don't live to tell the tale. This is when you learn that they are absolutely and utterly trapped inside this mansion. Literal steel, iron, some type of metal panels come down over the windows. There are bars over the doors. There's nothing they can do to get out. They really try. It has then become their mission to find a way out of the house, or manor, or mansion. It was pretty much, in my mind at that point, Abigail's house. Because at that point, I had figured out that this was a setup. It might take other people longer, but it's pretty obvious. This movie is full of cliches. So they all split up to go try to find a way out of the house, and that's when people start dying. Of course they do. The first one to go is our sociopathic driver, Dean. You don't learn much about his character. Nobody really cares about his character, it seems. I'm gonna be honest, this character reminded me of a friend I had in high school. He looked like him, he acted like him. I full out thought it was the same person for a while. But I'm pretty sure that person is in jail. Where Dean belonged as well. And true horror movie cliche fashion, Rickles was the next to die. Our only person of color character. During this battle of wits with Abigail, Sammy, our rich girl hacker, is running from Abigail and ends up falling into a pool of festering bodies. At this point, I wouldn't have cared about the crazy vampire on the loose. Let the other ones deal with her. I'm taking a shower. Sammy does not. They continue fighting. They're trying to use every cliche vampire tool against Abigail. Abigail doesn't care about crosses, uses one of them to make our dim-witted mob enforcer a pincushion. She doesn't care about garlic, bites into it. That seems gross, especially with the skin around the garlic. Gross. The only thing she seems to care about that they're carrying is the sharpened pool cues. But she just uses that to put it right through Frank's leg. Lovely. This entire battle leads to them finally catching her. But during this, she ends up biting Sammy. As we can see, this is not going to turn out well. At this point, Sammy and Peter have gone off to continue trying to find a way out of the house. But Sammy was bitten by Abigail. They end up in this room where there is literally sunlight peeking through the walls. Now, Peter's a big guy. I don't know why he didn't just run out the wall and break it down. Look, an escape! Freedom! Of course, the horror movie wouldn't let that happen. So, Sammy is at that point enthralled by Abigail, and Peter is dead. Sammy then has a cute little dance with Abigail, and that's when Joey and Frank show up. They figure out that Sammy has been turned, they run away from her. They go into this big room that becomes very important. It's a library of sorts, with a big round window in it, with no covering. Now, it is up high, but this is a library in a mansion. I'm pretty sure there's a ladder somewhere. This is another point of escape that is not used. Well, Sammy comes after them. They end up using a silver tray to deflect light onto her, and this is when we see that if sunlight hits a vampire in the correct way, they will blow up into tiny bits. This is the warning. This movie has so much gore in it that people got up and walked out of the theater. Literally walked out. I heard, oh my god, and ugh, and just left. Now, in the trailer on YouTube, you can see that the team that worked on this movie also worked on one of the Scream movies. If I had seen that, I would have expected more of this. I did not expect this to be a slasher gore movie, and this is not the only time it happens. But moving forward in the synopsis, that leaves Frank and Joey alive. That's it. They are then lured to a control room where they find out that Lambert is there. Lambert is a vampire. Lambert was turned by Abigail, and he now wants to kill Abigail to get out of this contract he has with her where he brings her people for her to kill. Now, this is a big plot point in the movie. Abigail has said earlier in the movie her father doesn't care about her. And her way of trying to make her father care about her is collecting up his enemies and killing them in a very animalistic fashion. I don't know that it's helping her. Frank decides to pretend like he's going to go along with this. Lambert turns him. Then Frank, in his new empowered state, kills Lambert. Frank has now gone pretty much insane. When Abigail comes in, he is able to overpower her and drain some of her blood. He then leaves her for, I guess, dead, and goes after Joey, his friend, his pal, his non-enemy, and he's gonna kill her. This is when we get to the final climactic battle scene. So we've already had one body blow up in the control room. We've had one body blow up in the big library room. This big battle scene starts. Joey and Frank are fighting. Joey is surviving things that no human should be able to survive. And then Joey is thrown off the second floor of the library, only to be caught by Abigail. So now we have this new joined team, Abigail and Joey against Frank. Allegiances are just flipping back and forth here. During this fight, Joey is pierced completely through with, I believe it was a metal arrow? And whatever it was metal, it went right through her shoulder. It was gross. But she just, I guess, shrugs it off and continues to fight. Well, she cannot overpower Frank. Frank bites her. Frank enthralls her to attack Abigail, only to find that you have to practice to enthrall people. Frank is a baby. The ending of this movie is another big explosive body everywhere. Gore, viscera, blood, everywhere. I don't know how the actors were standing on their feet. The very last scene in this movie, Abigail's father finally shows up. It is alluded to that he's going to kill Joey. Abigail stops him. Joey is then released as she gets to leave. She has been bitten by a vampire. That's most likely leaving this open for a sequel. I didn't like this movie. Not even a little bit. I thought it had overused tropes and cliches, and the amount of gore in it was more than egregious. Also, the story, though not a bad one, wasn't actually the focus of the movie. It was absolutely just the killings. I wouldn't suggest it. I don't think it deserves the rating it has on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't think it deserves the rating it has on IMDb. I will never watch this movie again. However, this is just the thoughts of one person. This is not the entire movie. There are parts I left out. There are parts I skipped over. You might love it. If you like things like this, you might love it. But I wouldn't suggest it. The highest I could give it is probably a 3 out of 10. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little review. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.